I know it's recruiting season, right? Everybody is probably going to career fairs and looking at jobs and getting interviews started. So, I would be remiss to not, to present to you guys for the first time and not give you a rundown of the Hartford and our career paths and our openings and stuff like that. But what I also wanted to do, as an HR guy talking to some technical students, is to not focus strictly on those pathways, but to also bring someone in with me here today who's been in your seat before, been on a college campus recently as a student, interned with the Hartford, went back to school for her senior year, came back to the Hartford as a full-time employee in our leadership development program. So provide some insights on what her career path has been like to this point, what types of opportunities she's had, both as an intern and as a full-time employee, and from there be able to kind of draw some insights for you guys to show you what it's like to work at the Hartford. So I'm going to bounce back into the chat here because I think I have to admit someone. But Claire, if you see anybody that needs an admission into the meeting, if you could take care of that for me in the meantime, that would be great, since I'm screen sharing. So to give you guys a little background on me, I am Mark.turek. I actually just realized I did not update this slide here with my position. I am no longer a university relations consultant. As of October 1st, I am the university relations manager for the Hartford. So I have oversight of a recruitment team, and I set our strategy for working with you guys, developing our relationship with UConn. In the past year, I was actually recognized as the Employer and Alumni Career Advocate of the Year for the university. So, really proud moment. One thing that I would want you guys to know about me here, you even see it, I'm wearing a UConn shirt right now. I live and breathe UConn. I graduated in '04. We, like I said here, we set the stage for the dual championship basketball. I think our experience after that championship was probably a little bit different than what you guys would go through today if that happened again. That's kind of surprising that we all lived to see the next day after that, to say the least. But really, really fun times. My subject matter expertise at the Hartford for a number of years now, dating back to 2015, is I'm kind of like our resident subject matter expert for the entire company in early career technology, data engineering, data science, arrangement and design of various programs for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, things out on campus, relationship development, you name it, kind of a jack of all trades. I have to know what makes you guys tick, what kinds of jobs you want. I have to have an intimate knowledge of those jobs, but I also have to be able to get out there, talk shop, get people excited about the insurance industry, which, if you guys were on before, you would have heard me say it's kind of a hard industry to attract people to because there's not a deep realization of the innovative work that's going on here and the amount of opportunities that are available in this industry for students in technology. I've managed our relationship with UConn since 2015. So spent 4 years as a student and 6 years managing this wonderful relationship that we have with your school. And I hope that you guys are leveraging the resources that you have there, because as someone who went to UConn years ago, we didn't have career fairs. Career services was almost non-existent at the time. There weren't employers walking around campus day in and day out. So there's very, very good resources that you guys have at your fingertips that is going to maximize your ability to land a really, really good job at the end of college if you leverage all of those things. Um, I've managed our summer intern program for 6 years up to this point. This is going to be the first year. Actually, next summer will be the first time that I don't manage it anymore. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet moment for me. During that time, I've probably shepherded close to 1,000 interns through the company, many of which are here now as full-time employees, including the one that you'll hear from in 1 second here after I finish my slide. So biggest thing about me with UConn, diehard sports fan. I've been going to basketball games since I was a student there. I was in Gamble the first time the court got rushed when we beat Arizona in 2000 on a goaltending call at the end of the game. Can't forget those things. I've been out to Notre Dame. I went to the Big House in Michigan to watch them get destroyed by Michigan in 2010. We were at the Papa John's Bowl game. All these were with buddies from UConn, rented RVs for all of them, road tripped it out. And the funniest part about the Papa John's Bowl is they actually ran out of pizza before halftime. So go figure. Pizza company running the bowl game, and they don't have enough food there. So with that, I'm going to introduce Claire Stewart to you guys. Claire, I won't steal your thunder. So if you want to take yourself off mute and share a little bit about yourself with the team here, the floor
Thanks,
is yours.
Mark.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm Claire Stewart. My husband was watching me as I was putting the slide together, and I still technically go by Claire Stewart at work because I haven't changed my name, but he made me put Rayford in parentheses. So yes, hi everybody. I'm a technology and data associate in the LDP program, which is the leadership development program. Right now, it's a rotational program, so I'm currently a Salesforce.com developer in the enterprise data office, and I went to North Carolina State University. Don't hold it against me that I didn't go to UConn. I'm a computer science major and a statistics minor. And some other things I've done is I've also been an MNX developer as an intern, and a data engineer was my previous rotation on a maintenance team. Uh, at State, I was computer science ambassador, so I love to give tours and work at different recruiting events. This is kind of a little fun thing to do, kind of like what I did in college. But yeah, for my fun facts, I got married, like I said, just over a month ago, and I'm a self-proclaimed line dancing expert. Not really, I'm only so-so, but I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm certified on all things Disney. Of
All right. Thanks, Claire.
course.
I apologize for unsharing my screen in the middle of that there, guys. I went to go mute myself and I unshared the screen. So my bad. All right, so let's give you guys a quick rundown on the Hartford. I want to set the stage on the different lines of business that we have here and what we do, and then kind of drive that back into opportunities. And I didn't ask at the beginning of the call what kind of collection of grade level we have on the call between freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So bear with me. There'll probably be a couple things that I go through here that might not resonate with everybody on the call, but we'll set the stage on all of it. All right, so the Hartford is actually one of the oldest companies in the state and one of the oldest in the country. We're one of Fortune 500's 10 oldest companies in the U.S. We recently celebrated our 211th anniversary as a company, and one of the things that I think is really cool here is when we think about technology, like we were a company before computer even existed. Like it wasn't even a thought at that point. They were still using an abacus back when we were founded, and feather pens. And we actually have some of those things in our building in Hartford. Some of the old feather pens, and we've got like Abraham Lincoln's homeowners policy and Babe Ruth's disability policy and all this stuff. So there's a lot of history at this company that is kind of exciting and a little bit of a different dynamic when you think about the world of startups and new companies these days. Most people aren't thinking about like, well, what about the companies that are like unbelievably stable and have a couple centuries of experience under their belt? Like we're not looking to get bought out. We're not looking to like change the world on something, but we have the ability to be extremely innovative because we've been there, done that, right? And so it's tried, tested, failed, succeeded, all those types of things. You get to experience that when you have a couple centuries of experience under your belt. So we're a large company, but not too big for our britches. We're not talking about 50, 60,000 employees. You still have a voice. You still are visible in a place like this. About 19,000, 20,000 employees approximately, headquartered in downtown Hartford. In downtown Hartford, we've got a campus, park on site. We've got our own parking lots, our own shuttle system. It's like a little city in and of itself. We've got about 7,000 people that sit in that location. So you can imagine, on one hand, we sincerely miss being there and seeing the hustle and bustle. I was actually in the office for the first time in like a year and a half, a couple weeks ago, and it was just weird. Nobody's there still. It's even warm in there because there's no one there. Why do you need to make it like, 65, 70 degrees like you would if 7,000 people were working in the building? So, really, really neat campus though. The museums that we have in the building, if you guys ever have a chance to come to the Hartford, hit on every single one of these bullet points on the right side. You can see historical artifacts of Babe Ruth's policies, Abraham Lincoln's policies, where the painting of how our stag logo came to be. Our junior fire marshal program. I'm sure some of you guys growing up when you were in preschool, kindergarten, elementary school may have done a fire safety class in school and received a little red plastic fire helmet as part of that. That's actually a Hartford program that's been in place since 1947. And you can see at the bottom right there, we've deputized over 110 million junior fire marshals, and we have many, many, many stories and data points of lives being saved through this content being delivered to elementary school children. Like I'm in my mid 30s and I remember doing this in kindergarten. For my baseball fans on the call, Mariano Rivera is actually our spokesperson for this program. So we've seen him in our building in Hartford before. He's done speaking engagements and stuff like that in years past, and just really neat stuff that comes out of that. So some of our lines of business. Now, what I'll tell you guys as the tech pros of UConn, every single thing that you see on this screen has a technical support area to it, whether it be infrastructure and the simple side of things like that. But what I will say is everything has applications being developed. They have different CRMs that, are the engine that makes their area run. Data pipelines, you name it. Every area has some aspect of that, and they all have corresponding tech teams that support them. So think of the Hartford in I'll say 4.5 buckets, because there's one thing that's actually not on here that I'll mention in a second. Our biggest two areas of business, and this is why you guys don't see us plastered all over the TV like Geico and Progressive and State Farm, is the business insurance and employee benefits. Don't need to advertise during a Yankees game for that, right? Like, you're not buying insurance for your business during a baseball game. Like someone might say, I'm going to go on Geico and quote a policy while I'm sitting here. But the areas kind of cover a very, very wide array. Like some of the really, really funky things that we offer, like we have a livestock policy that's part of our group benefits line, or our global specialty line of business, that if you're a dairy farmer and you have a herd of 10,000 cattle, like that's your livelihood. What if they get mad cow disease? Like they're going to collapse. You lose your livelihood. Your herd of cattle passes away. Well, now what? There's actually an insurance policy that covers them for that. And they would file a claim with us, and it would be some sort of business interruption, and they'd get a fat check if that happened. So essentially, what these business insurance and personal lines policies are providing here is a safety blanket. They could be everything from insuring a shipping channel in a cargo ship with 2,000 brand new BMWs coming from Germany to the U.S. It's a big ticket item, right? God forbid that ship sinks. Someone's out of money. There's got to be a policy that covers that. You've got things like bond insurance. So you guys walk around UConn, everything is under construction all the time. It has been since I was there. All that is driven by UConn's funding on one hand, or municipal bonds. So a bond needs to be covered by an insurance company in the case that somebody defaults and they don't finish the project in a timely fashion. So really, when you think about the different types of coverages that you have within those they're designed to keep you on your feet or keep the lights on, right? Or keep you being able to get to and from work, or have a roof over your head and stuff like that. When we get down into the employee benefits space, it gets a lot into like disability coverage, retiree health, maternity leave coverage, things like that. Our biggest customer in this particular line of business is actually Amazon.com. So we got about 175,000 employees that we manage their benefits. And what's crazy about this is they've actually had to stand up an entire call center for that account, a claims team, and technical platforms to run it. So there's actually people that I've hired that have worked on developing things that are being used just for that one client to satisfy the contract of us providing them benefits. Hartford Funds space is kind of like an entity of the Hartford. They're part of the company, but they're like the redheaded stepchild of our company. They're basically an asset manager. They can do a series of different things for institutional investing, right? 401k management and stuff like that. But it's not a huge area. It's in Wayne, Pennsylvania, right outside Philadelphia. And again, it's kind of like a subsidiary of Hartford, but not really at the same time, if that makes sense. The half that I mentioned before when I said 4.5, That's not on here is we have an area that's located in our Hartford office called Hartford Investment Management Company. Most insurance companies have this aspect to them. The Hartford is the biggest client of Hartford Investment Management Company, which is owned by the Hartford. Make sense of that. Essentially, what they're doing is you guys have insurance bills, right? You in your terms, you guys probably know most on auto insurance. The bill that you pay every month is your premium. Your premium goes to the insurance company, and the insurance company is like, all right, what do we do with this? And this is where actuaries have reserving. So they say, based on these probabilities that we worked out here, we need to have X amount of money reserved to pay for claims when the stuff hits the fan. And then on the other side, what do we do with the money that we don't need for that? So HIMCO is a trading floor. So a lot of your business students that you see on campus that are really interested in investments, that learn Bloomberg terminals and all that kind of stuff, they come into that space and they actually invest our money on fixed income assets, real estate, private equity, emerging markets. They're the ones that are managing all of the environmental, social, and governance kind of direction of the Hartford, like making sure our money is not funding, ExxonMobil, who could be tarnishing the environment, right? And getting outside of things that might be unethical. Not that we would ever get into that. You'll see later where we've won several awards for ethics in our business, but it's kind of a rundown. A little bit of investing stuff, but 99.9% of the business is all about providing business insurance, employee benefits, and then some auto insurance and homeowners insurance and renters insurance. But again, the homeowners and renters and auto stuff is it's like our parents would take those policies because our target customer for that is developed through a contractual agreement we have with AARP. We've all heard about our parents freaking out about getting AARP cards growing up. It's kind of like the rite of passage to becoming old. So, want to talk a little bit about kind of how we're impacting in our communities. I mentioned ESG before with the environmental, social, and governance stuff. That kind of also spills over. We think about the social aspect to that. How are we impacting our communities that we work within? So, for those of you that are from Connecticut, some of the things that the Hartford has engaged in. We had a recent news story out there last week, actually, connected to UConn. We just announced a $1 million scholarship program called Hartford Scholars that's going to help empower students who are starting at UConn Hartford, who might be first generation college students, maybe come from underserved communities and stuff like that, and empowering them to make it through 4 years of school by funding their journey. Some of the other things that we're doing is a heavy amount of volunteering work here. So on the slide here, these are real pictures of employees. That picture on the top right, I'm actually to the right of that house. I laugh about this every time I do this session. I'm like, all they had to do is move that camera to the right, and I'd be in this presentation, and in our brochure and all this stuff. Bottom left is actually one of our intern classes the year before the pandemic. And that's actually one of the volunteer events. That's one slice of our intern class. It's probably a quarter, maybe a sixth of the intern class, so a small pocket of them. But to support our employees in this endeavor, when you're a full-timer here, you actually get time off strictly for volunteering and giving back in the community. And I would welcome you guys to look up this stuff. You can see our sustainability report right on our website and see all the ways that we're impacting the communities, not trampling on the environment and stuff like that. It really adds that element to your work that you can feel good that the company is standing for good things and really truly cares about the community in which we're located, especially Hartford. I mean, we've called Hartford home since 1810. We're not moving away, right? We're called the Hartford, for crying out loud. Like, we can't go be located in New York City and be called the Hartford. So, in this particular case, how do we make sure that we're lifting up the community around us as being a citizen of that community for 211 years? Kind of going beyond that, one of our newer taglines that we have at the Hartford is that we underwrite human achievement. Insurance companies don't exist if we don't have underwriters, and underwriters are the ones that make the business happen. So to put it in really simple terms for you guys, insurance is a product that mitigates risk. The underwriters are the ones that figure out what that risk level is. So like when you've gotten an auto policy before and they're like, how many car accidents have you had? They're developing a risk profile on you, which is then going to drive the pricing. So one of the things that we said, well, let's pull that underwriting term into how we're helping people achieve, because at the end of the day, an insurance policy enables you to get back on your feet, right? Like it's kind of like achievement, so to say. So it's pulling on those heartstrings of like what we're doing to empower people and get them back on their feet, and looking inside at ourselves of what can we do to help perpetuate that into the community. And so got a couple things on here like ability equipped. I mentioned we do disability insurance before. We've been a very long-standing partner of the United States Paralympics team, and through that, we've got this ability equipped program that provides adaptive sports equipment to children all the way up to professional athletes across the country, from winter sports to summer sports. And they have really, really neat events like in Breckenridge, Colorado, and in San Diego and other areas like that on an annual basis, that they're donating this equipment to individuals. Which, if anybody knows anything about the cost behind that stuff, it's astronomically expensive to get like the equipment to be a skier with a disability. When you see those, equipment that they have where you're like sitting on the skis, astronomically expensive. So it's enabling individuals to be able to like do the things that are passions of theirs. Our heart mobs, this is a really interesting concept that we've got here. So you think of like the cash mob model where you want to patronize, everybody goes and patronizes a business. I mentioned our bread and butter is business insurance. We actually have created a database of our customers that our employees can access. Christmas time, holidays, you do your Christmas shopping at some of our companies that we insure. The thing that you see in the background of that picture where it says Big Heart for Small Business, that's actually a store that we built in our headquarters in Hartford, that we invite those customers into our office to sell their products. So it's kind of like a vendor spot. So when we're like walking through the building or going to grab lunch or something like that, we can stop by and, you know, give back to our customers. It's not often that you're in a business that charges a premium for something that then turns around and says, thanks for your business. We are going to send our employees to you now to do business with you. So, it's really kind of showing the care of the company, and that we're not like just out there to get profit from people, but we actually want to empower those businesses too. I already talked about junior fire marshal program, but on the bottom one, I'll talk about stigma free, opioid aware. Stigma free is just, I mean, we all know the last couple of years have been nothing short of a nightmare with dealing with the pandemic and not being able to live our lives like we did prior to this, right? Especially for you guys on campus. I mean, my heart goes out to you with the social aspect of being in school and all the development that comes along with that. We know it's tough. So as a company, we've implemented this stigma-free program about really addressing mental health in the workplace and just mental health in general, and providing the right resources to our employees to make sure that they're comfortable, bringing up problems with their managers or whatever it might be, and that they have the resources to get help wherever they might need it. Now, you see the opioid aware program in the picture. Essentially what that is, if anybody logged in and heard me talking at the beginning of this, before we started the call today, one of the biggest drivers of individuals becoming addicted to opioids is workplace injury. So we have a policy that does workers' compensation. And, we want to make sure that we can create technology-driven insights that help us intervene on treatment when it might be falling off the rails. And so there's two parts of this. One being our CEO is part of many um, committees and other things down in Washington, D.C., with a bunch of other corporations to make sure that the right things are being done, and the problem that we've seen grow very exponentially over the last 20 years goes the other direction. But the other piece is we've even got tools here that like our data scientists and data engineers have created, in this particular case called the bodily injury avatar, that pulls data insights from unstructured data. So we're mining phone conversations that people are having with our claim reps when they're filing a claim, down into the data that we're getting from medical records, insights from chiropractors and other treatment areas like physical therapists and surgeons and things of that nature. And it all gets thrown into a prescriptive and predictive data model that basically spits out a heat map at our claim reps in vocational rehab pros that we have here, to say this person is at very high risk for this treatment leading to a drug addiction on the other side of this when they've recovered. And so, what we want to do from that perspective is be able to intervene and redirect the treatment to something else to ensure that by us providing that safety blanket to get that person back on their feet, we're not turning them into a drug addict on the other side of that if we could prevent that by using data and technology to predict when that adverse outcome might happen before it happens and it's too late. I'll go real quick through this. You guys all know diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, very important topic this day and age, and is finally being talked about. So for us, it's something that's just part of our day, right? And I think one of the best ways that we can kind of set a really strong culture at the Hartford, but also, kind of be attentive to like not just like workplace culture, but like ethnic and racial culture within the company is through employee resource groups. So the easiest comparison that I can make for you guys on this here is think of your cultural centers on campus. So if any of you guys are involved in those, like Puerto Rican, Latin American Cultural Center, Asian American Cultural Center, some of these are very similar to that, where it enables you to have a community inside a 20,000 person organization. We have about 10,000 employees that are involved in these that are, something that might be important to you or something that you just have a passion around that you want to be involved. I know like in Milcom, for example, we have like a lot of young professionals that are in that space who have a parent who's in the military, or we actually have people from MAP pros, which would be our folks verging on retirement, joining our young professionals network to understand what is Generation Z all about. Like, I don't understand you guys. The whole get at that, and educate them. And so what's really cool about these is not only did I say before that like sets the culture of the company and creates community within the organization, but I would put the bug in your guys' ears as you're looking at companies, whether it's us or someone else. Everybody's got these now. What's beautiful about these programs within a company is it gives you the opportunity to be able to be involved in something that's going to get you exposure to leaders and other individuals that will lead to job opportunities. So they're resume building, they have officer positions, and it's just a really, really cool thing to be a part of. And some of them, like our Asian Pacific Professionals Network, does like a big Diwali event every year, and it's like, man, if you're in Hartford, it is like it's like a food festival in our building, and the things that I've tried at that have been absolutely unbelievable. So, point is, like, again, creates that sense of community, gives you opportunity, exposes you to people that you would never get exposed to in your day-to-day work. Like when you hear from Claire when she talks about the work that she's doing, you get kind of siloed in some of those areas, and you get really connected to the space that you're in, and forget the fact that there's like 20,000 other people here in a million other departments. This is how you get exposure to them. We get a lot of recognition around this, and I've actually partnered with Lisa McGuire, who's a UConn employee on this stuff, and we've set some really, really cool activity out on campus that we've actually got some national recognition around. So if you guys have seen us at stuff, some of you on the call may have heard from me or some of my colleagues on this. Just flashing this up on the screen, some cool accolades that we've got over the years for some of these things here. There's many, many more, but we're not in it for the awards. This one though, I'll say we're in it. 2020, we were actually ranked number 10 overall and number 1 in the insurance industry for best employers for new grads by Forbes. And this is data driven by new grads that we've hired and other individuals within the company benchmarked against every other company under the sun. So we're floating around in the same realm as the Amazons and the Facebooks and the Googles and the funky ones like Trader Joe's that are always up on the list every year. So this one is one that I would stop for a minute and be like, we were really excited to receive this one. All right, so now I'm going to set the stage quickly. I'm watching my clock over here because I want to make sure that I don't take too much time and give Claire her shine here on talking about her role, so you guys can get some real insight from someone who's close to where you're at in the game right now. So I would say generally for ACM students, what I would focus on this screen right here, first and foremost would be your tech and data analytics. Where you can go a little bit deeper than that, where I've seen computer science students and other very, very technical students end up, is in risk management. That's where we do like a lot of the penetration testing and ethical hacking and stuff like that. So they have a small portion to their team that is highly technical, but really more cybersecurity focused. Um, all the roles in technology and all the roles in data analytics are going to pull right on what you guys are getting experience in. And we have some different pathways, internship program, rotational program, direct hire positions, tech focused roles, data focused roles, which I'll get a little deeper into in a minute. But outside of that space, if there's budding interest in other areas, product is another area that uses a lot of data to drive the business. What they actually do is they manage the profit and loss for regions of the country. So they're the ones that might look at geographical data to say like, geez, the east coast of Florida is getting pounded with hurricanes every year, and the houses are getting wiped off their foundations. Like we probably shouldn't be writing insurance policies there for that reason. Um, and if there's anyone from Florida on the call, you would know that it is next to impossible to get an insurance policy for a home from any of the main insurance carriers that you have out there. It's all these funky, high risk, high cost companies that will do that stuff. But they are using those types of insights to drive that type of outcome. The other stuff on here, not very technical in nature. I mean, pretty straightforward in the names. Like ops might get a little into that space, but you guys, if you're in ACM, you'd be bored in ops. It's too business oriented. So I don't think we have any freshmen, but if we do, real quick, we do a wintertime over winter break, a half day program where we just do an immersive kind of professional development 4 hour session run by my team with, we've had up to 150 freshmen in this before. So we talk about personal branding, figuring out how to, lay out your interests and what should I be doing in school to ensure that those interests are going to yield an internship in the future. How do I make myself marketable? Really kind of setting the stage for you. You hear a lot from career services. We know they're great, but they don't work in our world. So there's a lot of things that they might tell you that we might say, I don't really know about that. I would do it this way instead. That's what this is for. Our early immersion program is for sophomores entering their junior year and it serves as a pipeline to full-time employment. We generally have about 70 to 80 participants in this a year. And to put some data behind this here, out of that, we usually see 30 to 35 of those come to us the next summer for an internship, and they're getting those offers before the end of the summer after their sophomore year. So you participate in this for 3 days in June. Very immersive. We're bringing our hiring managers into it. You're learning about the structure of the company and where all the different positions sit. You're learning about what generates revenue, what doesn't. There's speed networking sessions with those managers. There's networking activities that we do. We do a case competition, and we round it out with interviews. And so those interviews yield offers, and we're extending those offers before we even post the jobs. So if there's any sophomores on the call and you want to get involved in something like this, I'm going to share my contact information with you guys. As we wrap up today, I would welcome any of you to reach out to me. We'll put time on the calendar. I'm happy to talk through any of these things I'm bringing you through here in great detail. And I can also share all of our postings with Chris as well after the call. So if there's anything on here that jumps out at you, we're recruiting for everything. I have openings for intern, early immersion, and full-time. Strike while the iron's hot, they say, right? So next we have our summer intern program. For technical students, we got a couple different paths. You can go in through our LDP, which is where Claire came in. That feeds our leadership development program. So the other side of that internship is a rotational program. We have direct hire technical areas as well, and we're standing up another new program right now that is going to start being focused in data, but then is eventually going to hybrid data and like data engineer and software engineer profiles that are more direct hire roles. Similar size to our leadership development program, though. So, our LDP brings in 20 interns, 20 full-timers a year. We're probably going to knock that up to 25 this year for each. Our roles outside of that space probably will generally see about 15 to 20 additional technical or data focused interns. And then we have a data engineering program that we hire 5 interns into annually as well. Tech is the biggest footprint of interns in the company. And it has the most full-time opportunities on the other side of it as well. So the intern program is centered on meaningful work. You're not coming in here to like do someone's busy work or push paper around the office for them. You get a real robust assignment. You have responsibilities, deliverables. The way that I always pitch it is just imagine yourself being a full-time employee of a company for only 10 and a half weeks. At the end of that internship is when we get back together with our managers, we debrief, we iron out who we want to offer, who we not want to offer. In a perfect world, we want to offer everybody. So I always say, when you come in here as an intern, the full-time job is yours to lose here throughout the internship program, as long as we tell you on the front end the pathway is to full-time on it. So you can walk out of this opportunity prior to Labor Day as you're moving back on campus, getting an offer for a full-time job. So, you don't have to worry about the crazy career fairs or coming to sessions like this and hear me ramble on and on about this stuff. You'd be locked and loaded, ready to go. But this program, in addition to the really robust work, is, and this is where it's been really difficult holding this together virtually in the last couple of years, is it's hard to like help you experience the culture and network with people. And you don't realize how much you get out of that quick walk to the cafeteria or being able to walk over to someone's desk near you and ask questions and stuff like that. So we're hoping that we're going to be in a good spot. All signs point that way for this summer, but God forbid we find ourselves in a virtual scenario again. We are not ever going to cancel our intern program. It would just be executed virtually. But again, if I don't ever have to plan another virtual intern program, I will feel like I hit that Powerball jackpot that's out there right now. All right, and then the full-time opportunities, I'll skip forward to this slide here. So kind of the gold entry point is the leadership development program. It's been the gold standard for years in technology. You'll hear a little bit more detail on this from Claire in a moment. But essentially, it's a 3-year program. Every 6 to 12 months, you're in a new job within technology. We hire talent pools in this space. So I assume most of you guys are computer science majors. And when we get into the upper tech space of this program, you're looking at it from two angles. You want to be like that back end, low level, deep coding type of person, or do you want to get into the front end, data focused, information security type of stuff? And within that, there is I mean, I'm not even going to throw positions at you. I'll let Claire talk through some of hers, but there's hundreds of different things that you could potentially do in this place from a technical perspective. And some of it gets wildly innovative. So I'll give you a few examples of people that I know that are UConn grads. Like one, for example, I was talking about before we got on the call here is we have an Internet of Things innovation lab here. And through that innovation lab is where we're looking at startups out in Silicon Valley and other areas of the country that maybe have some sort of sensor or product that's going to help mitigate risk at our insured parties. So you think about floods, right? Like water is like literally one of the worst possible things that could ever happen when you own a dwelling because it finds its way into everything, creates mold, rots wood, like all these things. So one of the big things that you want to try to do is prevent water leaks. How the hell do you do that? Like how are you going to know something's dripping? Well, there's startups out there that make sensors for that. And it feeds a data feed to us. So we pull all kinds of data insights off of it. And we're saving our customer money and saving them from a disaster. So the person that actually implemented all of that graduated from UConn in 2014, was an intern, or I'm sorry, yeah, 2014, joined us as a full timer. Right after that, did 3 years in this program, popped out into innovation strategy, and now runs the show. So you can see the kind of trajectory that you get through going through a program like this. She was a little bit more of an MIS major, but some other areas that we've got. One of the assistant vice presidents that I work with was a graduate of our tech leadership development program in 2012 and oversees a very, very large swath of technical development work that's going on here. So he's got people that are rotating in the program through his area as someone who is a graduate of this. So the stage that gets set for you within this program on one hand is the variety of work that you get, but then all of the professional development and like attention to developing leadership and senior player skills. Does it mean you're going to graduate from the program as a director of our Internet of Things lab? No. You could do that in a couple of years though out of that. So like, Cameron in her example of the IoT lab popped out as a senior strategy consultant in innovation and then parlayed that into a director level role. So that pathway, it's like you could come in here by not participating in one of these programs, but you can come in here by participating in one. And it's that little leg up that sets you on a little bit of a different career trajectory. So, name of the game is variety, professional development, exposure, experience, and empowerment. I mean, what's cooler than coming out of school and kind of having a little bit of indecisiveness in where you want to go, coming into a place that's going to allow you to kind of spread your wings a little bit and try really four things over the first 3 years that you're within the company, working with different managers, different coworkers, different processes, developing your agile exposure and skill that you're coming out of that, learning new programming languages and all that kind of stuff. Another thing that we're standing up, and I actually don't have a slide in this here for it right now because it's a project that I'm working on with a team here that will be locked and loaded for the summer next year. We probably just won't be posting it until maybe the winter time. Is we're developing a developmental program that's not rotational in nature. So we get some students that come to us to say, I'm not really attracted to that variety. Like, I really want to be a developer. So just put me in that space and let me shine there. What we sometimes find with that is you guys, a lot of students come with a similar stack of technology when they're graduating from college, and not much like there's a lot that goes on in our space that's not part of that stack. So there's not much focus outside of like the Javas and JavaScript and C and Python and R and all these things that we generally see students come out with. So when we have situations like we need to hire a data engineer that needs to have some exposure and knowledge on the Snowflake database or Tableau or something like that, we wanted to create a pathway to hire students like you guys and spend maybe the first 2 months training you and teaching you on some of those platforms that you'd be using in those roles, and then pop you out as a developer in that space. And so it's not, I don't want to pitch this as like it's like a subpar entry point to like our developmental program, rotational program, because I mean, it's going to be compensated the same essentially. You'll lose some of those developmental aspects that you get in an LDP, but again, it's attracting the student who isn't really attracted to rotational opportunities. And believe me, you guys might be like foaming at the mouth to get into an LDP, but trust me when I tell you, there's a large percentage of students out there that are not attracted to that. And so, what's the pathway for that? The other thing too is I mentioned our data engineering program. We've got that is straight hire data engineers working on very, very, very deep development in like extract, transform, and load process to develop data models for our data scientists. So they're the ones that are managing the massively large data sets and creating pipelines to structure unstructured data and creating systems to extract structured data. It's really, really, really interesting stuff. So the name of the game here that I'm trying to paint for you is that there's a seat for every interest area in our industry and in our company. So whether it's the Hartford or one of our other competitors that you guys hear from out on campus, the variety of opportunity in the insurance industry is ever growing and evolving. I mean, you can come into this place and you could meet people that are COBOL mainframe developers that when they retire, so will COBOL because there's nobody else around that can do that work right now. And then you can get all the way up into the innovation and data science space where it's some of the most kind of forward leaning, newer emerging technologies that are being used out there. So that's kind of my rundown on stuff. We'll have some time at the end after Claire goes through her stuff to go through Q&A. And like I said, I'll be sharing, our postings and anything. And I'm a networker at heart, so I would always set time to talk with you guys if you've got questions off to the side or you want to pick my brain about anything. Just a simple like, can I get some time on your calendar? Will always be met with a yes. So with that, I think it's a good segue after talking about some of the technical work that we've got going on here to segue this over to Claire to share with you guys what's nice about Claire is she's done an internship with us flip that internship into a full-time job. So it's a really good example of some of the things that I was talking about before. So share a little bit of insight with you on what that internship looked like, how the assignment felt, what the change into the full-time side has been like, and what types of opportunities have been there, what technical programming languages she's worked on, so on and so forth. So Claire, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder here, so I'll kick it forward and pass the mic over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so um, like Mark was saying, the program's really rotational, which I know some of y'all probably already know what you want to do, but if you were me and uh, at one point I thought I wanted to do security, and then I tried it in an internship and I didn't like it, and then I was like, well, now I don't know what to do. I don't know what I like. So when I saw this program, it was really great because it gives you the opportunity to try a bunch of different things and see what really like calls to you because sometimes doing the work in school isn't the same as doing it in real life. But to jump into my rotations, my first one I did was a MNX developer as an intern, and this one was really cool because just like Mark was saying, I've done an internship before where I didn't do anything all summer and it was really boring. Um, but I actually got to do real work that got used. It was like, yeah, like being a full-time employee, but only for 10 and a half weeks. So that was really great because you know that they value your talent and that you're there for a purpose. So during this rotation, I worked with Stencil, which is, I never heard of before, but it's a component tool chain. It allows you to build reusable components that can be used on the web. So that way we can develop HIG brand standard components that can be used over and over again instead of having to redevelop one each time. And this could be like as simple as a button or a checkbox, or what I worked on personally was a timeline that people could go in and they could add as many different steps as they wanted um, to their own web page. And to test this, we used Browser Stack and Selenium. And the cool thing about Browser Stack was it gave us the power to test it over many different browsers because many workplaces only allow you to have one or two different browsers. Like we're allowed to use Edge and Chrome, but like our users will be using Firefox or Safari possibly. So this just allows us to go and look and see what the tests are going on and if there's a reason that one's going something wrong with this browser versus another one. But it was just a really cool opportunity to learn about testing and also learn about development as an intern and still just getting that real life experience. So to move on, I finished my semester at college and then I came back in January as a data engineer for my first rotation. This was a 6 month rotation. Um, it was definitely an adjustment because it's something, while the intern one was a very good experience, it's definitely interesting being there knowing that you're going to be there for 6 months instead of 10 weeks. Um, but yeah, so they got me right on in. I started with some SQL and I thought I knew SQL and then I got there and I was like, wow, SQL is a lot more complicated than I had thought of in school. And so it was really just a great learning experience to kind of get hands-on and actually um, learn what the Power SQL has. I also worked with Tableau a lot and that's where the SQL came in. We called it a null report where since this is a maintenance team, we are constantly refreshing our database and we want to make sure that that happens correctly, that we're not getting like large amounts of abnormal null values. So every month I would have this report that would look and see how many values, and we're looking to compare it to previous refreshes. So like 1 month we'd expect 3%, we're going to expect 3% of null values again. But if it jumped up to 9, then we're like, oh no, something went wrong. So this is a really good use of data analysis to make sure that our database was staying up to par. And I also did a couple different proof of concepts, which were really interesting because I got to try out some things that I hadn't done before and that the team hadn't used. So I did try to make a newer version of that report using Python and Talend. Those are just both great experiences to try out something new and something uncharted for the team. And the rotation I'm currently on is a Salesforce.com developer. And Salesforce.com has their own suite of tools. Apex is very similar to Java, but even though it's similar, it is different. You still like have to go back and learn those small nuances that make it different. And I also did a lot of configuration work because Salesforce has like an already defined front end that you can do some minor things with. So I was able to kind of learn that and then move on to coding in Apex. And then I've also done a lot of API design planning. Currently, we're looking at 3 different options, and it's a lot of discussion and talking with the 2 different teams that are trying to work together to get this done. Just seeing which is the best option, which one's the most efficient, and how we'd make these options work, and what the time consequences would be of each option. So it's just been a really eye-opening experience working through all these rotations and all the different uh, technologies I've gotten exposed to way more. Even I highlighted the ones that I had never used before But even the ones I had used, I've gotten a much deeper knowledge just because of this program and all the different experiences I've had. But I also want to talk a little bit about Agile because I don't know about y'all, but in college they taught it to us, but we never actually got to work in it. But all my teams did Agile, and we had Scrum meetings and planning where we got to go in and figure out what we're going to do for each sprint, which is like a 2 week period that we work on. And then we also have retros, which talk about how well that sprint went, and then refinement, which is where we go through and look at our user stories, which is like what people want us to work on, and we make sure that there's enough information for developers to work off of that. And it's been a really good experience because even though I'm new, people they want to hear what I have to say about their process and continue to improve it. They like really value my opinion, even though, some people are kind of stuck in their ways. But the great thing about Scrum is everybody's trying to improve and get better and make it even more efficient. And to finish off, I just wanted to touch on the that Hartford really gives you the experience or the can't think of the right word, but I got to do a lot of certifications, which was really cool, and I got reimbursed to do them. So it was really good learning experience for me and helped me in my rotations. I got to do the AWS Cloud Practitioner and the Tableau Desktop Specialist. So it was just a very good. It just shows how much the Hartford cares about investing in you as an employee and furthering your education.
I would say on that, there with the support that's provided on that, just food for thought for you guys hearing that. The Hartford pays for that for you. So like the AWS stuff is not free. There's monetary values that are set aside for certifications and other designations and things that might be relevant to your job day to day. But even going beyond that, we actually have a student loan paydown program for any student loan debt that you're incurring while you're an undergrad or that you take on as a graduate student. So like if Claire decided to go get an MBA or a master's in computer science, not only is Hartford going to help her with the loans on that, but they'll also reimburse her for tuition too. So we, especially in technology, I feel like it's kind of the epitome of always be learning type of space, right? Because you mentioned it yourself, Claire. There's platforms on here that you didn't learn in college. They had to learn here. So what does that look like? We have to have the support here to be able to empower you guys in your career. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful, and we're setting you up for failure. So good stuff. All right. So my call to action to you guys is get connected with us, get connected with me and Claire. Why don't I do this? I will go into our chat here and I'm going to give you guys, while I'm doing this, does anybody have any questions? You want to hop off mute? Anything that we covered that you want more information on? Chris, I wish I could see the chat. I'm just seeing now that you put in there, we have a lot of freshmen. Now I wish I didn't brush over the freshman program. So you guys could feel free to reach out to me if you want more info on that. But any questions we can answer for you? Hop off mute. Did we bore you? Just because that's like the ideal time for us to run it. Um, but I mean, if there's, what are you thinking as far as a different time? Are you asking that because you're not in the area during the winter or not available? Third week of, no, the second week of January, because you guys are usually back by the third week. It's only 4 hours. And I already know for this year, because of where we're at, we were supposed to be available to return to work in October, but that got pushed out. We're going to execute it virtually this year. And I usually record it too. So like if you can't make it, we probably could share the recording with you if you wanted to as well.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
Sure.
We got another question? Are there any skills or qualities? Oh, hold on.
You're asking the right guy on this one, let me tell you that much. Um, yes. So, first and foremost, the basic things like GPA, right? Like we definitely, you definitely want high performers academically in the program. That goes without question, right? To me, as the person who's recruited for this area for 6 years, it's the little things. It's like you guys are here right now, right? Like you're part of a organization on campus. You're not just burying your face in the book and calling it a day after that. So we want really well-rounded individuals. So experiences on campus, solid grades. Like I'm not looking for 4.0 students. If you have a 4.0, it's awesome. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but like oftentimes what I find with that is they're one-dimensional, right? You're so focused on academics that you miss out on all of the like experiential stuff that you get while you're in college that's going to round out that experience. So we want to see strong grades, relevant major, if we're looking full time, maybe a past internship, but it's not a requirement. Maybe some good project work in school, and then some things to round out your resume, like off the side of your desk type of activities, like being part of ACM or some other clubs or orgs or volunteering and stuff like that. Could be anything. The core to what I'm saying here is that we just want someone who's really well rounded, who kind of hits on all cylinders. Some may be better than others, but we want you guys to be involved because in the LDP, there's a lot of side project work. You can see Claire is here presenting with us right now, or with me right now. And so when we have individuals who are well rounded, we know that it's going to pull through to some of that stuff on the other side that we like to see. Did that answer the question? In some way, shape, or form, common sense, but like it's good to hear it from someone like me who actually like reviews the resumes. This doesn't mean that one-dimensional students don't make it here at all by any means. It's just our favorite profile is someone who's got really, really well-rounded out experiences in college. What else you got for me, Chris? I'm or intern.
Full time.
Really.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I literally just started. I did my first intern interview today, from campus recruiting, and I have not done a full-time one yet. Now, what I will say is that there are roles filled in that space. So I mentioned that early immersion program. I think 7 of our internships in the LDP are filled through the early immersion program, and then we have, I want to say, 15 of 25 full-time positions filled from interns from last summer, 15 or 16. So what I reach out to me after the call, shoot me your resume. I got the write my email address down from the chat. Shoot me an email. I can share the postings with you guys, and I'd be happy to have more of a chat with you on maybe what you're looking for and go deeper into the program if you want. We only have a couple of those filled, so now's the time for sure. Yep, the early immersion program is actually sophomores, not freshmen. Um, and that we post that live. That and the freshman experience program is posted on our job board and on Handshake. So if you guys went on Handshake and looked at all of our postings on there, they're out there too. It's a regular application process, but we don't interview for it. We just do what we call in recruiting a paper screen. So we'll take a look at your resume. We're looking, good grades, relevant major, some of those basic things that I was mentioning before, in a lot more basic sense than if I was looking at at a intern or a full timer, and then we invite you. What I can tell you, like selfishly as our tech recruiter, um, is that for me, you guys with your profile take precedent. We can never have enough of you guys, and we have the most opportunities in this space. And as a insurance company, you can imagine the students that from the business school that are probably burying us as all the finance kids, right? Like we can never like have too little finance, right? Like it's look at the application pool for it. It's like 75% finance students because we're in the financial services industry. So really, if it's something that you're interested in, you want to apply to, what I would welcome you to do is if you apply, shoot me an email on the other side and we'll get you invited to the program. That's how easy that thing is. And so you get in there, we get you in front of our managers, get you the exposure that you need, and hopefully the end of it rounds out with an interview for an internship for the following summer. But I can tell you guys, if you want to join, as long as you meet the criteria that we have in the posting, we'll invite you to it. Follow up with you tomorrow. I'll shoot you an email with the link to our job board just in general, but I'll spike out our technical postings for you so you have the specific links for each. We'll get you the early immersion, the freshman experience. I'll reshare my LinkedIn profile and I'll throw Claire's in there as well. I can speak for you here on this one, Claire. I welcome any of you guys to reach out to us, connect with us. If it's really, really specific career-oriented questions, bring them to me. Claire's in the program, so there's going to be limited things that she could respond to you guys on accurately related to that kind of stuff. But I'm so happy that we had a chance to meet with you guys today, Chris. Thank you for opening your doors to us and letting us spend some time. I wish we could be there in person with you guys so I could actually like shake some hands and shoot the breeze with you guys in person, but we'll do that in the future. It's all good. So thanks again. We'll get that stuff to you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I welcome any of you guys to reach out anytime. We'll make some time for you and get after it on those applications. If you're interested in the Hartford, I would welcome you to apply sooner than later so we can make sure you have the best shot possible. Sound good?
All right, thank you, of course.
Enjoy your night tonight, and I hope to catch up with a bunch of you guys sooner than later. Thanks again for having us today. We'll talk to you soon.